The Kuiper Belt Listening Array had a nickname among the small cadre of scientists stationed there, the Edge. Located far beyond Pluto's orbit, it was humanity's most distant deep space observatory. The loneliness was tangible, just 20 personnel surrounded by the black vacuum of space, floating on a titanium shelf filled with sensors, antennae, and artificial gravity systems that creaked when the solar winds grew restless. Dr. Mara Voss was in her third month of a 6-month rotation. The mission brief had sounded exciting, analyzing anomalous radio signatures, running diagnostics on cosmic background radiation, studying the interstellar medium, but in reality, it was mostly listening to silence. Until now, it was 3:47 station time when she noticed the anomaly. At first, it presented like interference, an unstable, low-frequency waveform skimming the bottom of the Hertz range. Mara leaned in, squinting at the diagnostic display. The signal was repeating in irregular bursts, but there was structure, patterns forming, then fracturing, then reforming in new configurations. It was non-random. "Computer," she said, activating the station's core AI, "run full spectrum analysis on channel S0995. Filter for known stellar or cosmic sources." "Working," the computer replied in its calm, almost condescending voice. Mara's fingers danced over the control panel, pulling the waveform into a visual spectrogram. She didn't recognize the form. It wasn't a pulsar or the usual static of black hole accretion belts. It almost looked like modulated pressure waves, the kind you might see from organic vocalizations. She tapped the console and piped the sound through her headset. What she heard made her blood turn cold. It was a scream, raw, unfiltered, agonizing. Layers of overlapping frequencies harmonized in pain. Not a mechanical distortion, not an illusion. A sound crafted to feel like suffering. As if whatever had created it didn't just want to communicate distress. It wanted the listener to understand that distress viscerally. The AI interrupted her rising heartbeat with a calm notification. No known natural origin matches detected. The signal displays recursive linguistic structuring, probabilistic grammar, and layered semantic complexity. Estimated probability of artificial origin, 98.7%. Mara didn't blink. Something was transmitting. She slammed her hand on the alert switch. "Control, this is Voss at station node E3. I have an anomalous signal, confirming artificial origin. Repeating, possible first contact transmission received. Priority 1. There was a pause. Then the voice of Commander Roth came over the comms. "E3, confirm signal details. Repeat. Is this an intentional transmission?" Mara's voice was shaky. "Unknown. It's a distress signal, not directed at us. I think we just picked it up by accident." An hour later, the entire command module was gathered in the signal analysis lab. 6 other scientists, 3 technicians, and Roth himself listened with grave expressions as the sound echoed through the chamber. No one spoke during playback. When it ended, silence fell like a tombstone. "What the hell is that?" whispered Dr. Kenji, a linguistic AI specialist. "Alien," Mara said simply. Roth crossed his arms. "What makes you so sure?" She pulled up the waveform. "It's not just noise. Look. See this repeating form? That's a language structure. Syntax. It's recursive. It corrects itself mid-pattern, adjusts. And here, emotional valence modulation. It's like it's screaming through grammar." Kenji interjected. "I've never seen anything like this. The closest match is a primitive subharmonic language used by humpback whales, except this is intelligent. It adapts." Roth stared at the screen, jaw tight. "Where is it coming from?" Mara expanded the celestial coordinates. The signal was echoing along an interstellar dust stream, probably for thousands of years. Origin appears to be from somewhere in the Messier 72 globular cluster. "That's over 50,000 light-years away," Kenji muttered. Roth nodded grimly. "So this might be a dead signal. A ghost." "Maybe," Mara said. "But we weren't supposed to hear it. It wasn't aimed at us. The beam width is tight, narrowband, probably point-to-point transmission. But cosmic drift sent it our way. We intercepted it by chance." Kenji leaned forward, frowning. "Wait, if it wasn't meant for us, who was it meant for?" Everyone looked at each other. No one answered. Later, In her quarters, Mara sat staring at the playback on loop. She slowed the frequency, shifted spectrums, and modulated it into visible forms. The signal transformed into intricate fractal patterns. Some of them looked disturbingly organic, like neurons firing, like a brain trying to dream its way out of a nightmare. She tapped a few keys and fed the raw signal into the station's experimental neural AI model, Gaia Prime, designed to simulate sentient logic paths. The response came faster than she expected. Gaia Prime analysis. Signal contains bioencoded memory traces. Residual data suggests originator experienced catastrophic trauma. Emotional encoding classified as terror/grief/resignation. Primary semantic payload translated. It's coming. It consumes. Run, run, run. Mara's breath caught in her throat. It's coming. She stared at the words. The scream in the static wasn't just a cry for help. It was a warning. The next day, Earth Command rerouted a secure communications channel to the station. The United Earth Council wanted a full report. An emergency task force was being assembled. But Mara couldn't sleep. Not because of excitement. Not because of the significance of first contact. But because when she closed her eyes, she could hear it. The echo of the scream. Not in sound, but in feeling. Pain. Despair. A species dying in real time. And something else. A shadow behind the noise. Listening. Waiting. The air in the Situation Room of the United Earth Science Directorate felt heavy, like the breath before a storm. Holographic projectors hummed faintly as they displayed the alien waveform in a swirling spectrum of blood red and violet. Around the circular table sat a mix of linguists, astrophysicists, military advisors, and two grim-faced politicians. All eyes were on the woman who had found the screen. Dr. Mara Voss stood at the center, tired but composed. She tapped her pad, freezing the waveform. It hovered midair, pulsing softly like a dying heartbeat. This, she said, isn't just a signal. It's a data construct, a sentient broadcast, not simply language, but emotion, experience, and memory. One of the analysts scoffed. You're telling me a radio transmission is alive? Mara met his eyes. Not alive, but encoded with the emotional memory of something that died. This isn't an SOS beacon. It's a postmortem eulogy encoded in a medium beyond anything we've used before. Dr. Kinji, seated beside her, took over. The waveform layers linguistic recursion with emotional metadata. The structure is neurosymbolic. In short, this is how a species encoded themselves into a screen. It's not just what they said, it's how they felt while saying it. A silence fell. Then Commander Evelyn Rourke of Earth Strategic Command leaned forward. Her voice was steady. And what exactly were they feeling? Kinji hesitated. Pain, terror, but most of all, desperation. Mara brought up a new projection, a series of glyphs and symbols, disjointed and angular, displayed like fractured hieroglyphs. This, she said, is the core semantic payload, the closest thing to an actual message. We've isolated a sequence we believe is a name or designation. One word keeps repeating, structured like a proper noun or a conceptual anchor. She highlighted it. Belsereth, across the room. The name stirred something in everyone. It had weight, gravity. Something about it felt wrong. Kinji nodded grimly. The AI linguistic model couldn't translate it directly, but the context, it implies something between predator, void, and God. A devourer, not metaphorically, a literal consumer, of thought, of meaning, of civilizations. The room was dead quiet. Then Rourke spoke again. So it's a warning. Yes, Mara said, but not to us. We intercepted it by accident. The signal was narrowband, high focus, meant for someone else. Someone capable of understanding this kind of cognitive linguistic structure. We just happened to be in the way. Could it be bait? Asked one of the analysts. A trap, like digital malware? A mimetic weapon? Maybe, Kinji said. But what's more likely is this. Whatever this Velserith is, it was pursuing them, hunting them, and they wanted to scream before they were erased. Rourke leaned back. What species sent it? Mara hesitated. Unknown. But we found traces embedded in the wave structure. Something we didn't expect. She pulled up a magnified view of the waveform's base frequencies, highlighting a complex pattern riding the carrier signal. This is not radio. It's biological. Murmurs erupted around the table. Mara clarified. The signal carries biochemical sequencing, protein chains, mitochondrial structures, even fragments of what we believe might be neural architecture. One of the scientists paled. You're saying the signal is bleeding? Not metaphorically, Mara said. Literally. This message was encoded using organic neural tissue. They transmitted it using their own nervous systems, or what was left of them. A shiver ran through the room. This was their last act, she continued. They sacrificed minds, maybe entire individuals, to encode this warning in the only medium strong enough to carry their essence across space. And they bled it into the stars. Rourke's jaw clenched. We've confirmed the signal is real. We've confirmed it came from Messier 72. And we've confirmed it warns of a threat named Velsereth. What's the recommendation? Kenji glanced at Mara. She nodded. We need to send a mission, she said. Not just to study the origin point, to intercept the trail. This transmission wasn't just a warning. It was a path. We've run signal decay models. The origin isn't just Messier 72. It's moving. Rourke narrowed her eyes. Moving? Yes, Kenji said. The original source is long gone. But the signal we received is a relayed echo. There's something out there that caught it, rebroadcast it, or tried to process it. We picked up residual harmonics on 3 different interstellar frequencies. Someone, or something, responded. That response was automated, but it shows activity. Rourke leaned forward. So we're not just looking at a dead civilization. Correct, Mara said. There's another one, maybe more. And we're in the middle of the whisper chain. A silence settled once more. Rourke broke it. Fine. Prepare a reconnaissance and analysis team. Stealth class. Civilian scientific focus with military escort. I'll requisition a deep-range vessel. You've got 7 days. Then she looked directly at Mara. You'll be on it. Later that night, Mara sat in her hotel suite in Geneva, watching the encrypted feed of the signal on her tablet. No one had slept in the past 36 hours. Even now, she felt haunted, not just by the scream itself, but the feeling embedded in it. She kept playing the same segment again and again. The moment when the waveform peaked and dipped, almost like a heartbeat, she increased the amplitude and let the raw sound filter through the air. A soft hum began. Then came a whisper, a wordless, aching plea. Mara's hands trembled. It wasn't just pain. There was something else in the signal expectation, the way a drowning man might cry out, not just to warn others of the riptide, but hoping foolishly, desperately, that someone might still pull them out. They hadn't been sending the message to anyone in particular. They'd just screamed into the dark, hoping someone would hear. And now Earth had, and whatever had silenced them might know we answered. The dry hum of the orbital shipyard filled the cavernous hangar bay as the sleek silhouette of the Pandora glided into position. Its black hull absorbed the sparse light from the station's flood lamps, a sharp contrast to the gleaming white cruisers docked nearby. The Pandora was a custom-built vessel, small, fast, and equipped with the most advanced stealth tech available. Earth's first line of defense and exploration beyond the Sol system's borders. On board, Commander Evelyn Rourke reviewed the final mission dossier. The Pandora was to follow the whispering trail of the Velsereth signal, tracking its origin, gathering intelligence, and if possible, making contact with whatever had survived. But no one here believed the mission would end with a friendly handshake. The crew was an eclectic mix of scientists, soldiers, and technicians, the best minds and the sharpest reflexes Earth could muster. Each member had been handpicked for their expertise and, perhaps more importantly, their mental resilience. Welcome aboard, Rourke said, her voice calm but authoritative as she stepped into the briefing room. The crew assembled before her, faces illuminated by the soft glow of the holoscreen. Mara Voss stood near the front, her expression a mixture of exhaustion and determination. I'm here to provide the scientific context, she said quietly, and to help interpret anything we encounter. This signal is unlike anything we've ever seen. A tall man with a neatly trimmed beard and sharp eyes raised his hand. Lieutenant Jonah Reyes, intelligence officer. How confident are we that this isn't a trap? Could Velsereth be luring us into a kill zone? Rourke nodded. Valid concern. We don't know what we're dealing with. This mission is a high-risk operation. That's why stealth and discretion are our best weapons. We won't engage unless absolutely necessary. She turned to a young woman seated near the communications console. Lieutenant Mara Chun, comms specialist. You'll monitor all channels and attempt to decode or respond to any transmissions. Mara Chun nodded without a word, eyes already scanning the array of incoming data streams. The crew was then introduced to Dr. Theo Grant, a bioengineer who specialized in neural decoding. We believe the signal contains bioorganic elements, Mara said, gesturing to the waveform on the holoscreen. If we can retrieve any samples or remnants, Dr. Grant here can analyze them. It might give us clues about the originators. Grant smiled thinly. My job is to make sense of their biology without catching whatever killed them. The room tensed at that. A veteran sergeant, Mara noted, stood silently by the rear wall. Sergeant Caleb Singh was the ship's security chief, a man whose presence alone seemed to command order. Rourke addressed him. Caleb, you'll lead the defensive team. Our priority is to keep this ship and everyone on it alive. Caleb gave a curt nod. Finally, Rourke concluded the briefing. We don't know what lies ahead, but we do know this. Whatever Velserith is, it's a predator on a cosmic scale. The signal we intercepted was a scream, a last act of survival. Our job is to follow that scream to its source and find out what happened. A low murmur spread among the crew, tension and resolve mixing in the air. That night, Mara Voss found herself in the ship's observation lounge, staring out at the infinite black. Stars blinked coldly, distant and indifferent. Jonah Reyes approached quietly. You don't look like you belong in a warship, he said, sitting beside her. Mara smiled faintly. I don't. I'm a scientist, not a soldier. But if this is the only way to find answers, then I'm here. Jonah nodded. Sometimes, it takes more than weapons to survive out there. They watched the stars in silence. The Pandora slipped away from Earth's orbit under the veil of darkness, pushing deeper into the Kuiper Belt, then the interstellar void beyond. Days passed in tense routine. System checks, sensor calibrations, data cross-references. The crew worked tirelessly to keep the ship ready for anything. Then the signal appeared again. It started as a faint pulse on the long-range sensors, a whisper at the edge of detection. Mara Chin's fingers flew over the console. It's the scream, she whispered. We're back in range. The crew gathered around the holoscreen, watching the fractal patterns of the signal bloom and fade. This time, Mara said, it's stronger, more detailed, like it's trying to tell us something new. Theo Grant leaned in, his eyes wide. If that's true, it means the source or its handlers are still active. Jonah Reyes frowned. Could be a trap. Caleb Singh checked his weapons quietly. The signal's complexity grew. It wasn't just a scream anymore. It was layered with fragments of what sounded like a language, punctuated by emotional surges. The Pandora's AI worked overtime, trying to parse the transmission into something comprehensible. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. Unidentified vessel, closing fast on intercept vector 12. Caleb shouted. Rourke's voice cut through the commotion. All hands, battle stations. The crew scrambled to their positions. Mara felt her heart pounding, adrenaline sharpening her senses. Through the observation viewport, a sleek alien craft emerged from the darkness, sleek, angular, and unlike any design she'd ever seen. The signal suddenly made sense. It wasn't just a scream. It was a warning. The Pandora's hull trembled with the hum of thrusters and the staccato rhythm of warning sirens. Red lights bathed every corridor, casting deep shadows where tension and fear gathered like a living thing. Commander Evelyn Rourke stood rigid on the bridge, her eyes locked on the alien vessel that now loomed on the ship's main viewport, a dark silhouette against the backdrop of stars, its edges sharp and unfamiliar. Status report, Rourke demanded, her voice cutting through the growing din. Lieutenant Mara Chin's fingers danced rapidly over the communications console. No response on any standard frequencies, Commander. They're not broadcasting any signals we can decode. Stealth systems still active? Rourke asked. Yes, ma'am. Sensors detect no weapons charging yet, but the vessel is moving deliberately closer. Caleb Singh, the ship's security chief, remained poised, watching the viewport like a predator waiting to strike. We're in their sights. If this is a trap, it's nearly sprung. Rourke's jaw tightened. Prepare the defense protocols. I want shields at maximum and weapons primed, but no firing unless fired upon. The crew was a mixture of nerves and trained discipline. Mara Voss, standing near the science station, felt a cold pit in her stomach. This was the moment when curiosity and dread collided, a true first contact, but in the shadows of uncertainty and danger. She glanced at Marichin. Any changes in the signal? Marichin shook her head. Still the same layered scream, but now interspersed with rhythmic pulses, almost like a heartbeat or a warning beat. It's deliberate. Attempt a response, Rourke ordered. Use the code Mara Voss developed. Simple mathematical pulses, prime numbers, sequences, anything to prove we're intelligent, not hostile. Mara Chun adjusted the transmitter, sending out the coded signal in bursts of light and radio waves. Seconds passed like hours. Then, the alien ship's silhouette flickered. A ripple passed through its hull, a distortion in space-time itself. The Pandora's sensors went wild, picking up cascading quantum fluctuations. "It's cloaking," said Lieutenant Reyes. "Adaptive stealth technology. They're hiding behind a veil of warped space." Rourke's gaze hardened. "They're studying us, trying to decide what we are." Suddenly, a burst of energy flared near the alien craft, a sudden flare that disrupted the Pandora's sensors and made the whole ship shudder violently. "Impact on the starboard hull," Singh shouted. The crew struggled to maintain their footing as consoles sparked and flickered. "Shields holding at 70%, Chen reported, sweat beading on her brow. Amidst the chaos, Mara Voss made a decision. "We can't just sit here. We need to understand what this entity wants." She grabbed her tablet. "I'm going to send a direct neural interface probe, a drone that can record and decode biological data remotely." Rourke nodded. "Make it quick. We don't know how long this standoff will last." The drone, shaped like a shimmering orb, was dispatched through an airlock, slipping silently into the void toward the alien vessel. Mara watched its data feed anxiously. As the drone neared the alien ship, Mara's screen filled with strange, biomorphic patterns, fluid shapes that shifted like living cells. "This isn't just technology," Mara murmured. "It's alive." Suddenly, the drone's feed was overwhelmed by a new wave of data this time. Not just sound or light, but a flood of memory. Vivid flashes assaulted Mara's mind. Endless halls of pulsing walls, creatures woven from shadows and sinew, and a galaxy caught in the grip of endless hunger. Then the image of Velserith appeared, a titanic entity of darkness and shifting fractals, its many eyes blazing with cold fire. It was a cosmic devourer, not just a predator, but a force that consumed reality itself. Mara gasped and collapsed into a chair, overwhelmed by the intensity of the vision. The drone's AI struggled to contain the torrent of information. Fragments of the alien race's final thoughts echoed in Mara's mind. A desperate attempt to stop Velserith, a warning encoded in their dying screams, and a final hope that some other intelligence might carry on the fight. Back on the Pandora, the crew waited tensely. Rourke spoke over the comm channel. "Mara, report." Mara blinked, steadying herself. "They're alive, in a way we never imagined. This ship is an organic vessel, a living archive, designed to preserve memories and warn others." Lieutenant Reyes frowned. "An archive? Or a prison?" "We don't know," Mara admitted. "But Velserith is not just a name. It's a force that destroys worlds and minds alike. The signal we received was a scream from a dying species, and this ship might be their last message." Suddenly, the alien ship's silhouette changed. The distortion on the hull coalesced into a form, humanoid, or at least roughly so, an apparition of shifting shadows and glowing veins. A voice crackled over the Pandora's comms, not in words, but in raw emotion, pain, fear, and a chilling calm. Rourke raised her hand. "Open a channel. Let's listen." The alien message was not a language, but a flood of feelings and images, memories encoded in pure experience. The crew felt the slow, agonizing death of a civilization, the despair of being hunted by an insatiable devourer, and finally, a plea. A plea for mercy, a plea for understanding, a plea for allies. Mara whispered, This isn't just a warning. It's a call for help. Rourke stared hard at the apparition. And now we decide what kind of response humanity will send. The tension aboard the Pandora was palpable, like the calm before a cosmic storm. The alien apparition, a shifting figure of shadow and light, hovered silently in the communication channel, a spectral presence that seemed almost alive. Commander Evelyn Rourke stood on the bridge, the weight of leadership settling heavily on her shoulders. Every decision now carried consequences not just for the crew or even Earth, but potentially for the entire galaxy. The burden of choice. Rourke paced slowly, eyes fixed on the swirling alien form. "We've received their plea," she said softly. "They're asking for help against Velserith, the Cosmic Devourer." Lieutenant Jonah Reyes frowned, arms crossed tightly. "Help? After all the warnings and the attacks, why should we trust them? It could be a trap, a lure to bring us into the Predator's grasp." Mara Voss, pale but resolute, stepped forward. "This message isn't just a cry for help. It's knowledge, information encoded in the very memories of a dying race. If we ignore it, we risk walking blindly into the same fate." Caleb Singh, ever the pragmatist, added, "And if we accept, we have no idea what we're getting into. This Velserith isn't just a threat. It's a force that warps reality, consumes entire worlds and minds. We're talking about survival on a cosmic scale." Rourke's voice was steady but firm. "Our options are few. We can retreat to Earth, warn command, and risk giving up the element of surprise. Or we can push forward, follow the coordinates encoded in the signal, and try to stop this threat before it reaches us." The Council of Minds. A meeting was called in the ship's conference room, an austere space filled with maps, data pads, and holoscreens displaying star charts and tactical readings. The crew gathered, the atmosphere tense and charged with urgency. Mara Voss stood at the center, presenting her analysis. "The signal's origin is a remote star system, one on the edge of explored space. The alien vessel's data shows remnants of a civilization that once thrived there. They created this ship as a last safeguard, a vessel to carry their history, their warnings, and possibly weapons." Jonah Reyes leaned forward. "If this vessel is their last message, then the civilization likely fell victim to Velserith. What if the threat is already here, near us? The time frame in the data aligns with recent unexplained phenomena in the sector," Mara replied. "Distortions in space-time, bursts of energy, signs of Velserith's advance." Caleb Singh broke the silence. "If we go in, it's not just about gathering intelligence anymore. It's a combat mission. We must be prepared to fight." Rourke's gaze swept the room. "Agreed. We will be entering the unknown. Every member of this crew must be ready for what lies ahead. A rift within." Not all were in agreement. Lieutenant Mara Chan, usually silent and reserved, spoke up quietly but firmly. "If this Velserith is as destructive as they say, rushing in could doom us all. Perhaps we should pull back, bring the data to Earth Command, and call for reinforcements." Rourke met her eyes. "That's a valid perspective, but reinforcements take time, and Velserith won't wait." Mara's voice softened. "Sometimes caution is the greater strength." A murmur rippled through the crew. The debate was a reflection of humanity's own divisions. Courage versus caution, hope versus fear, preparing for the unknown. The decision was made. The Pandora would proceed to the system from which the signal originated, but with a dual mission: to gather intelligence and to prepare for engagement if necessary. Caleb Singh organized the security teams, running drills and simulations designed to prepare the crew for combat with an enemy unlike any they had faced. Mara Voss and Dr. Theo Grant collaborated to refine the drone technology, upgrading it with biosensors designed to detect and analyze Velserith's unique biological and quantum signatures. Jonah Reyes intensified intelligence analysis, scouring every scrap of data for weaknesses or clues. The weight of history. Late in the cycle, Mara found herself alone in the observation lounge, staring out into the abyss. The stars seemed cold, distant. She thought of the alien civilization, erased from existence, yet reaching out across time and space to warn others. The memory probe's visions haunted her. The terror, the loss, the relentless hunger of Velserith. Yet in those memories, she also glimpsed something else, a flicker of defiance, a spark of hope, a new signal. Suddenly, the ship's systems detected an anomaly, an incoming transmission, faint but unmistakable. Mara Chin's voice cut through the bridge's low chatter. New signal, Commander. Different from before, but it's definitely artificial. Rourke nodded sharply. Patch it through. The message was fragmented, punctuated by static, but distinct. A voice, alien yet strangely melodic, spoke through the interference. Help, survivors. Velserith approaches. You are not alone. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the crew with a chilling silence. Crossroads. The Pandora hovered at the edge of the unknown star system, its sensors probing the darkness. Rourke stood again at the viewport. This is the crossroads. We can retreat and preserve what we have, or we can step into the shadows and face a nightmare the galaxy has never seen. Jonah Reyes approached quietly. Are we ready for this? For what it will cost? Rourke's eyes were steely. We don't have a choice. Not if we want to survive. The journey ahead. The crew prepared for the next phase, descending into the unknown heart of the Velserith's domain. Each knew the risks. Each knew the possibility of never returning. But beneath the fear, there was a flicker of something else. The stubborn flame of humanity's defiance, the will to fight against impossible odds. As the Pandora powered its engines, setting course for the star system where the fate of countless lives hung in the balance, one truth was clear. The crossroads of fate had been reached, and the next steps would decide the future of humanity, and perhaps the galaxy itself. The Pandora left the relative safety of known space and plunged deeper into the uncharted star system, into the abyss where shadows danced not only on the hull, but in the very fabric of reality itself. Commander Evelyn Rourke stood on the bridge, the weight of every decision heavy in her bones. Around her, the crew moved with a tense, focused energy, each aware that they were stepping into the unknown, facing an enemy unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Approaching the heart of darkness, the star system was eerily quiet, a vast cluster of dead stars and swirling cosmic dust clouds. The sensors struggled to pierce the gloom, signals distorted, light bent in unnatural ways, and the fabric of space seemed warped. Lieutenant Jonah Reyes tapped rapidly on his console. Distortions increasing, Commander. It's like the very space here is being twisted, maybe by Velserith itself. Rourke nodded grimly. Keep shields reinforced and sensors on maximum sensitivity. This is no ordinary region. Unseen threats. The ship's AI warned of faint energy pulses, rhythmic and persistent. Mara Voss studied the data, tracing patterns in the strange waves. These aren't random. They feel alive, like a heartbeat of the system. Lieutenant Mara Chin glanced at Mara with a mixture of awe and unease. You think Velserith is more than a creature? Maybe it's an intelligence, a force with purpose, or a predator with instinct, Mara Voss replied, eyes narrowing. Caleb Singh coordinated security patrols, running simulations of possible ambushes or boarding attempts. The crew's nerves frayed as the ship seemed to move deeper into a maw that threatened to swallow them whole. The first encounter. Suddenly, the Pandora's sensors detected a massive object drifting in the void ahead, a colossal structure unlike anything seen before. It was part organic, part mechanical, dark and shifting with alien geometry. Rourke's voice was steady but tense. Identify and scan. Mara Voss's fingers flew across her console. It's an ancient construct, maybe a weapon or a prison. It resonates with the same quantum frequencies as Velserith's signal. Jonah Reyes stepped closer. It could be a trap or a key. As they studied it, a ripple passed through the starry blackness, and the ship's alarms blared suddenly. Shadows in the dark. The Pandora shook violently, lights flickering as an unseen force slammed into its hull. Caleb Singh barked orders. All hands, brace for impact. Shields up. Prepare countermeasures. The enemy had revealed itself. A swarm of dark, shifting tendrils coalesced from the void, striking with brutal precision. Marachin fired the ship's defenses, laser turrets cutting streaks of light through the darkness. But the tendrils were relentless, seemingly alive, weaving through the Pandora's defenses like ghosts. Battle for survival. The ship's hull groaned under the assault. Rourke's voice rang out, steady and commanding. Target the tendrils. Focus fire on the nodes. Jonah Reyes coordinated weapon systems with surgical precision. On it, Commander. Mara Voss monitored the tendrils' patterns, searching for weaknesses. They're organic but adapted to technology, biomechanical. We need to disrupt their cohesion. Caleb Singh led a security team in preparation for boarding countermeasures. The possibility of enemy infiltration all too real. The cost of combat. The battle raged for what felt like hours. The Pandora battered but unyielding. The tendrils finally began to retract, beaten back by concentrated fire. Mara Voss breathed heavily. They're retreating, for now. But the damage was done. The ship's systems flickered, power rerouted to essential functions. Rourke surveyed the damage reports. We're still alive. But this fight was only the beginning. A haunting message. As the ship stabilized, a new transmission crackled through the static. Mara Chen decoded the message. It's from the alien vessel's neural archive, the one we released earlier. The message was a memory fragment. Visions of a once great civilization destroyed by Velsaritha's endless hunger, their attempts to build weapons and shields, their ultimate failure. Mara Voss looked away, haunted. They fought to the last breath and failed. Rourke's voice was quiet but resolute. Then we must succeed where they could not. The abyss beckons. The Pandora moved deeper into the dark heart of the star system, the shadows lengthening, the air heavy with unseen menace. Every creak of the ship, every flicker of light was a reminder of the thin line between survival and oblivion. The crew was ready, or as ready as they could be, because beyond the abyss waited Velsarith itself. The last light. Late that cycle, Mara Voss stood alone in the observation lounge once more, gazing into the blackness beyond. The stars seemed like distant beacons, fragile against the overwhelming darkness. She whispered to herself, "We are the last light," a vow and a prayer. The Pandora drifted closer to the core of the alien star system, a place where light itself seemed to falter. The dark expanse ahead was silent, unnervingly so, as if holding its breath. But beneath the eerie quiet, something ancient stirred, an awakening of a shadow long dormant, now sensing the intruders who dared to breach its domain. The quiet before the storm. Commander Evelyn Rourke stood at the bridge's helm, her expression unreadable. Her crew was tense, every sensor and scanner running at peak capacity. This was no ordinary mission anymore. This was a descent into something primordial, something alive and malevolent. Lieutenant Jonah Reyes paced beside her, breaking the silence. The system's core has an energy signature we've never seen before. It's fluctuating, almost like it's breathing. Mara Voss nodded. That's not far off. The readings match the bioquantum signatures we found in the tendrils before. Whatever is here is not just alive. It's aware. Rourke swallowed hard. And it knows we're here. The unseen presence. Suddenly, the ship's AI emitted a low, warning hum. Commander, unknown entity detected. Energy levels rising exponentially. Structural integrity at risk. The crew rushed to their stations. On the main screen, a swirling mass of dark energy appeared, an immense, amorphous shape that defied logic and form. Mara Chen's voice trembled slightly. It's Velsarith. It's awake. The entity pulsed with an eerie light, tendrils stretching and contracting as if sensing the ship. The Pandora's hull groaned under invisible forces, the space around them warping dangerously. The shadows reach. Rourke issued commands swiftly. Shields up to maximum. All powered engines. Prepare evasive maneuvers. Caleb Singh called out, "Weapons ready, Commander." But this thing, it's like trying to fight a living black hole. Jonah Reyes focused on the tactical display. It's probing us, testing our defenses, our resolve. Mara Voss analyzed the data, eyes sharp. It's learning. Every pulse, every reaction, Velsarith adapts. The ship lurched violently as the shadow's tendrils brushed against the hull, sending ripples through the Pandora's energy matrix. A desperate gamble. Rourke's mind raced. The Pandora was outmatched in raw power, but not in human ingenuity. Divert auxiliary power to the experimental quantum disruptors, she ordered. It's the only chance we have to weaken it. Mara Chun and her engineering team scrambled to activate the prototype weapon system. technology derived from the alien vessel's archives. The ship hummed with new energy, beams of focused quantum energy firing into the dark mass. For a moment, the shadow recoiled, tendrils flickering in confusion. Into the heart of darkness, emboldened, Rourke gave the order. Engage full forward thrust. We're going in straight into the core. Jonah Reyes adjusted the navigation console. Course set, Commander. Brace for high-speed jump. The Pandora accelerated, plunging through warped space-time as Velcerith's form writhed and surged behind them, a living nightmare-giving chase. The memory of ancients. As they entered the heart of the star system, the neural archive aboard the Pandora revealed more of the alien civilization's last moments. Mara Voss watched the holographic playback with growing dread. They tried to imprison Velcerith here, she whispered. Built these massive constructs, artificial prisons fused with biotech to contain the shadow. But the prison was failing. Their weapons failed. Their hope died. But they sent this signal, the blood signal, hoping someone would hear and fight. Rourke clenched her fists. We're those someone. The encounter. Suddenly, a massive wave of psychic energy slammed into the ship, shaking every system. The crew experienced a shared vision, a flood of images, destruction, despair, and a warning. Velcerith was not just a predator. It was a force of cosmic entropy, consuming not just matter but memory, life, and time itself. Jonah gasped. It's trying to break our minds. Caleb Singh gritted his teeth. We won't let it. Strength and unity. Rourke addressed the crew over the comms. Hold fast, everyone. Our strength isn't just in technology, it's in us. Our will, our unity. We fight as one. The Pandora's systems pulsed with renewed energy as the crew synchronized their efforts. Piloting, weapons, engineering, and science working in seamless harmony. The shadow retreats for now. After an agonizingly long struggle, the shadow began to pull back, retreating into the darkness of the system's core. Rourke exhaled slowly. This battle is far from over. Velcerith has awakened, and it will come for us again. Mara Voss looked at the fading shadow. But now we know what we face. Jonah Reyes added, and we're not afraid. The calm before the next storm. The Pandora hovered, battered but unbroken, in the ominous stillness of the alien star system. In the quiet moments, Mara Voss whispered to herself, We've stared into the abyss, and the abyss blinked. But the war was only beginning. The Pandora's battered hull hummed with the remnants of the last encounter, and the crew worked tirelessly to stabilize their ship amid the eerie silence of the alien star system's dark core. Commander Evelyn Rourke stood quietly in the command center, her gaze fixed on the swirling quantum storm ahead, the mysterious heart of the blood signal itself. The enigmatic core. For days, the Pandora had drifted through warped space, guided by the faint pulse of the blood signal, a cryptic beacon left behind by an extinct civilization. The signal's source was no mere transmission. It was a complex weave of energy and information encoded in quantum entanglement, a living message waiting to be deciphered. Mara Voss, the lead xenolinguist and quantum cryptographer, stood at her console, fingers dancing across the controls, peeling back layers of the signal's enigmatic patterns. The core's energy signature is unlike anything we've encountered, she reported. It's a fusion of technology and biology, quantum consciousness, perhaps. The signal is alive, decoding the legacy. The ancient alien archive aboard the Pandora held fragments of the civilization's last desperate attempt to contain Velcerith, the monstrous, shadowy entity at the center of the system. Mara delved deeper, pulling up holographic records of a race known as the Arkesh, whose entire society had been shaped by their war against the shadow. The Arkesh developed bioneural prisons, Mara explained, massive living constructs designed to trap and isolate Velcerith's essence. The blood signal is their final transmission, a call for aid and a warning. Jonah Reyes, the tactical officer, glanced over the data. So this signal is both a beacon and a trap? Exactly, Mara replied. It's designed to attract a civilization capable of finishing what they started. Into the core. Rourke's voice was firm. Set a course for the signal's origin. If this is the last hope, we're going in. The Pandora pierced deeper into the swirling quantum storm, a tempest of raw energy and shifting spatial currents that bent light and time. The ship's sensors flickered and warbled, struggling to maintain a connection with the blood signal source. Caleb Singh, the head of security, stood ready. If Velserith is here, it won't be waiting peacefully. The living prison. Ahead, the Pandora's sensors detected a gargantuan structure, an ancient bioneural prison. It stretched for miles, a dark, pulsating web of organic and mechanical elements fused together in a lattice of alien design. Maravas stared in awe. This is it, the heart of the signal. The structure's surface shimmered, alive with energy that shifted and flowed like a living organism. Tendrils of power snaked outward, touching the ship like probing fingers. Rourke ordered, "Maintain distance. Scan for weaknesses," a message from the past. As the crew continued their analysis, the ship intercepted a hidden transmission buried deep within the prison's matrix, a message left by the ARKesh themselves. The holographic recording flickered to life, revealing a figure robed in ceremonial armor, speaking with a calm yet urgent voice. "We are the ARKesh, the last guardians of the prison. Velserith is a force beyond destruction, an eternal shadow that consumes all light and life. Our weapons failed. Our world fell. But in this prison, we hold its essence for now." The message ended with a plea. "To those who find this, beware. The blood signal is both a warning and a weapon. Use it wisely, for the shadow feeds on fear and division." The shadow stirring. Suddenly, the ship trembled. The quantum storm flared, and the prison's surface rippled violently. Velserith was waking. The shadow coalesced at the edges of the prison, tendrils extending, probing for weakness. Caleb Singh ordered, "Prepare for combat. Shields at full, weapons hot." The Pandora's weapons charged, laser turrets flaring as the crew braced for the inevitable attack. The battle within. The shadow lunged, striking at the ship with crushing force. Rourke barked commands, coordinating a desperate defense. Focus fire on the prison's nodes. Disrupt its control over the shadow. Jonah Reyes worked feverishly, redirecting power and targeting weak points. Maravas, meanwhile, searched for a way to sever the connection between the prison and Velserith. If we can overload the neural network, we might contain it, or at least slow it. The battle waged, a harrowing clash of light and shadow, technology and living darkness, a rift in reality. In the midst of combat, the quantum storm opened a rift, a tear in the very fabric of space-time. The Pandora was caught in its pull, tumbling toward the unknown. Rourke's voice cut through the chaos. "Hold tight. Prepare for emergency protocols." Systems flickered. Gravity fluctuated. Crew members struggled to maintain control as the ship hurtled through the rift. A glimpse beyond. In the disorienting tumble, Maravas glimpsed a strange realm, a place beyond normal reality where time and space twisted in impossible ways. Velserith's true form was revealed. Not a creature, but a vast cosmic entity of pure entropy, consuming not just matter, but the essence of existence itself. Mara shuddered. This is what we're really fighting. The end of everything. A new resolve. As the Pandora emerged from the rift, battered but intact, Rourke steadied herself. "We've seen the heart of the signal and the shadow behind it." Jonah Reyes exhaled, exhausted but determined. "We're the last line. We fight not just for survival, but for the future." Maravas nodded. "The blood signal calls to the brave and the strong. We answer that call into the unknown." With renewed purpose, the Pandora prepared to dive deeper into the heart of the alien system. The crew knew the battles ahead would test every limit, but they also knew humanity's greatest strength was not just in its technology or weapons, but in its unbreakable spirit. Because in the darkest abyss, the last light must shine brightest. The Pandora drifted through the shadowed corridors of the alien system, wounded but unbroken. The ship's hull bore scars of the last confrontation, burns and fractures that whispered of a near-fatal encounter with the cosmic entity known as Velserith. Yet within the crew, a fierce determination blazed brighter than ever. The Pandora was no longer just a vessel of exploration. It was humanity's beacon of hope, the last light standing against the encroaching darkness. The aftermath of the rift. Commander Evelyn Rourke stood on the bridge, the weight of their mission pressing down like the cold vacuum beyond the hull. The rift had shown them glimpses of a reality twisted and consumed by entropy, a place where Velserith's essence had corrupted the very fabric of existence. The rift changed everything, Rourke said quietly, eyes scanning the data streaming on the main screen. What we're fighting is no longer a creature. It's an existential force. Lieutenant Jonah Reyes, his face grim but resolute, leaned in. The AR cache called it eternal shadow for a reason. It's not just hungry, it's relentless. Rourke nodded. And it's coming for us. Rallying the crew. Below deck, the crew gathered in the Pandora's main hall, the hum of emergency lights filling the space. Engineers, scientists, and soldiers, all united by the fragile thread of survival. Mara Voss addressed the group, her voice steady despite the weight of their predicament. We have the technology, but more importantly, we have the knowledge of the AR cache. Their legacy is our guide. Caleb Singh, the ship's head of security, added with a fierce glint in his eyes. They built that prison to hold Velserith. We're going to finish what they started. Rourke stepped forward, her tone commanding. This fight is not just for us. It's for every civilization threatened by this darkness. The blood signal has called us here for a reason. We are humanity's last light. A murmur of resolve swept through the crew. Repair and preparation. Back in engineering, Marachin and her team worked feverishly to repair the Pandora's damaged systems. The ship had taken a beating, and time was running out. We need to upgrade the quantum disruptors, Marachin explained to Rourke. If we want to trap Velserith again, we need more power and better targeting. Rourke considered the risk. Can it be done before the next attack? Shin smiled grimly. It's our best shot. The calm before the storm. The Pandora drifted near the bioneural prison, orbiting its massive, pulsating structure. Outside, the star system's eerie calm belied the danger lurking within. On the bridge, Rourke and her officers watched the alien prison, its tendrils writhing softly in the dark. Jonah broke the silence. It's waiting. Maravos nodded. Velserith is gathering strength. It's preparing for the final assault. Rourke took a deep breath. Then so are we. The arrival of reinforcements. A sudden ping on the long-range comms caught everyone's attention. The Pandora's sensors detected approaching ships. Faint, distant signatures moving rapidly through the system. Unknown vessels, reported the tactical officer. They're coming in fast. Rourke's eyes narrowed. Are they friend or foe? As the ships drew closer, the Pandora's communications array crackled to life. A voice, distorted but resolute, came through. This is the United Earth Fleet. We received the blood signal. We're here to assist. Relief and hope surged through the crew. The final plan. In the strategy room, the combined leadership of the Pandora and the Earth Fleet gathered around a holomap of the alien system. Admiral Marcus Kane, the fleet commander, spoke with authority. Velserith will not be contained easily, but together, we can trap it in the bioneural prison once more permanently. Maravas added, we'll use the upgraded quantum disruptors to destabilize its connection to the prison's matrix. Rourke nodded, and we'll draw it out, lure it into the trap. Jonah Reyes smirked. Like bait on a hook, the battle begins. The comm shattered as Velserith surged again, its tendrils smashing through the void, striking the Pandora and the Earth Fleet ships with devastating force. Explosions rocked the fleet as they scrambled to respond. Shields holding at 70%, Caleb Singh reported. But we can't hold much longer. Rourke's voice was steel. Focus all fire on the prison's control nodes. Disrupt its power flow. The battle raged in the shadows of the star system, a cosmic storm of light and dark, chaos and order, sacrifice and resolve. As the fighting intensified, Marachin and her engineering team took a desperate gamble, initiating a dangerous overload of the Pandora's power core to supercharge the quantum disruptors. Everyone clear the engineering deck, Marachin ordered. The ship trembled violently as energy surged through its veins. Rourke's voice came through the comms, steady and inspiring. Hold the line. This is humanity's stand. The turning point. The quantum disruptors fired in a brilliant cascade of light, piercing the shadow and severing Velserith's grip on the prison. The entity shrieked, a soundless scream that echoed through space and mind. Tendrils retracted, the shadow recoiling in agony. The fleet pressed their advantage, bombarding the weakened core. A flicker of hope. As the last control node collapsed, the bio-neural prison pulsed one final time, then stabilized. Velserith's essence was sealed once more, trapped in eternal darkness. Rourke exhaled, exhausted but triumphant. We did it, Maravas smiled. The blood signal has been answered. Jonah Reyes clapped Rourke on the shoulder. Humanity's last light still burns bright. The journey continues. With Velserith contained, the Pandora and the Earth fleet began their slow journey home, a battered but victorious reminder that even in the face of cosmic darkness, humanity's spirit could shine through. Rourke gazed out into the star-studded void. We faced the abyss and didn't blink. The future is ours to protect. And somewhere, deep within the dark heart of the alien system, the blood signal pulsed faintly, a beacon of hope, waiting for the next chapter of the story. The silence after the storm was profound. The Pandora drifted through the vast emptiness of space, its hull scarred and its systems weary, but its spirit unbroken. Around it, the stars glittered like distant promises, reminders of countless worlds still untouched by the shadow of Velserith. For the first time since arriving in this alien system, there was a tentative sense of peace, a calm born not of safety, but of victory and hope. After the final battle, Commander Evelyn Rourke sat alone in the dim glow of the bridge's command chair, her eyes fixed on the slowly stabilizing bio-neural prison visible on the main screen. The eternal shadow was locked away once more, imprisoned by the combined efforts of humanity's ingenuity, courage, and sacrifice. The war had taken its toll. Losses had been heavy. Brave crew members, steadfast soldiers, and gifted scientists who had given everything to prevent the abyss from consuming all life. But the fight had been necessary, and won. Rourke's mind wandered to the faces of those lost, and to the countless others who would now have a chance at a future free from fear, rebuilding, and reflection. The Pandora's engineers worked tirelessly to repair the ship, patching breaches and recalibrating systems. Narration, exhausted but determined, led the effort to restore full operational capability. In the mess hall, the crew gathered in small groups, some in quiet contemplation, others sharing stories of the battle. Their camaraderie was stronger than ever, forged in the crucible of near extinction. Maravas, sitting near a viewport, stared out at the stars. The Arkesh left more than warnings. They left us a legacy. Jonah Reyes, seated beside her, grinned. And we answered it, not just as humans, but as guardians. Caleb Singh, ever the pragmatist, added, we survived because we fought together. That's what makes us strong. The blood signal's meaning. Rourke summoned Maravas to the command center to discuss the implications of the blood signal, the mysterious beacon that had drawn humanity into this cosmic war. The signal wasn't just a distress call, Mara explained. It was a challenge, a call to rise above fear and division, to unite and stand against a darkness that threatens all existence. Rourke nodded. It means our fight is part of something bigger. Mara's eyes gleamed. Yes, the blood signal is a message across the stars, a reminder that no matter how deep the shadow, light can prevail. A message to humanity. Rourke made the decision to send a transmission back to Earth, a message of warning, hope, and unity. On the bridge, she addressed the crew. What we've faced here is a reminder. The universe is vast, filled with wonders and dangers beyond our imagination. But if we stand divided, we fall. If we stand united, we survive and thrive. Jonah activated the long-range comms. The message was encoded in the blood signals pattern, a beacon to any future explorers who might encounter similar threats. The future of exploration. The Earth fleet, having joined the Pandora in battle, prepared to return home. The alliance forged in fire promised a new era of cooperation among humanity's scattered factions. Admiral Marcus Kane visited Rourke on the Pandora's bridge. This is just the beginning, he said. Humanity's place in the cosmos is changing. We've been tested, and we've passed. Rourke smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility but also the thrill of possibility. The stars are waiting, a new dawn. As the Pandora set course for home, the crew gathered one last time on the observation deck. The alien star system faded behind them, but its lessons remained etched in their hearts. Rourke looked out at the cosmos, the dawn of a new age shimmering in the distance. The blood signal had been answered. Humanity had become the light in the dark, the last hope against the eternal shadow. And in that moment, as the stars stretched endlessly before them, the future felt limitless.